Welcome to the Zone. Following the disaster at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in 1986, which claimed the lives of many civilians and emergency responders, and displaced tens of thousands of people, a legend of dark omens and a terrifying creature began to immediately spread. Today we'll be diving into the mysterious phenomena that plagued the people of Pripyat and Chernobyl in the weeks leading up to the fateful day of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant disaster. If you enjoy the content, feel free to like and subscribe. Without further ado, let's dive in. In early 1986, the citizens of Pripyat and the workers of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant began their day as they normally had, completely unaware that something sinister haunted their region. They carried on as they normally would, going to work, answering the phones, buying their groceries, and visiting their loved ones. The day was relatively unremarkable, and it was only that night when a few of the children in Pripyat began to report strange dreams of a black man with red eyes, a monster with wings and sharp teeth. This monster would chase them through their dreams. While these dreams and stories, at the time, only seemed like childish imagination running wild, today they appear to be a foreshadowing of events to come. In April of 1986, workers at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant began to experience otherworldly events and strange phenomena. Some of the workers reported hearing strange whispering voices at night, or hearing laughing down the hall, only to find that the room where the sound was coming from was empty. Others reported a variety of different phenomena, ranging from strange lights to ghostly apparitions, but the most widely experienced phenomena was named the Black Bird. The Black Bird of Chernobyl, as it was soon called, was spotted all throughout the areas of Chernobyl and Pripyat. Officials and administrators dismissed the sightings as simple mass hysteria, or an urban legend that had been taken too seriously by workers and citizens. Reports of a bird-like creature with red, glowing eyes began to become common as workers at the CNPP would swap stories of seeing the shadowy figure moving along the outside perimeter fences. The creature was reported to have watched the workers leaving the facility, never chasing them or reacting to their movements, but simply staring. These sightings were largely considered to be blusoka skaska, or tall tales, by the security personnel at the plant, until one late night when a female plant worker ran into the security office and began to pound on the door to be let in. After letting the woman into the safety of the office and calming down the terrified worker, the guards listened in horror as the woman recounted her tale of a monster stalking the parking lot. The woman reported that while she was walking to her car, she began to hear shuffling in the bushes and trees near her vehicle. She then saw two large, red, glowing eyes open and heard a shriek that caused her to freeze in panic. Two large wings then opened, and she saw what appeared to be a shadowy man attached to the wings and the red eyes, which then flew high into the air, circled her for a moment, and then flew out of sight. Other stories of close encounters with the creature soon began to flood the security office. A group of workers all coming into the plant for an early morning shift reported seeing a gigantic bird circling the plant in the pre-dawn light, which immediately began to shriek and fly away once it had realized it had been seen. Another worker who was driving a transport truck reported that one night, while he was driving, a large black bird-like creature had swooped in front of his vehicle, causing him to almost wreck. Like the previous sightings and reports, these accounts were also dismissed as largely urban legends or tall tales brought on by stress. One official noted that all of these sightings occurred at night in poorly lit conditions, and all of the apparitions were only seen for a moment before the creature disappeared. While this made perfect sense to the administrators of the plant, it did little to calm the nerves of the citizens and the workers. As the month continued on, many of the workers who had reported seeing the creature began to be plagued by nightmares and hallucinations. Workers began to exhibit symptoms of illnesses, including vomiting, migraines, and insomnia, which had no apparent cause. Some of these workers began to refuse to return to the plant out of a fear that the creature would once again return. It was around this time that reports of strange men in black vehicles began to take an interest in those who had reported the sightings of the creature. Some of these men reportedly identified themselves as KGB, who were investigating the sightings, but after collecting the witness statements, they would demand that they return to their post at the plant and never speak of the incident again. On the fateful morning of April 26, 1986, during a routine drill, what we now know as the largest ecological disaster in human history played out at the CNPP. Due to the design of the power plant and the use of graphite rods coupled with overzealous engineers attempting to increase power outputs in a reactor number 4, a catastrophic explosion spewed radioactive material into the surrounding area. The fires continued to burn, and an overwhelmed fire department was forced to beg for help from the Soviet military. Helicopters and planes were mobilized to begin dumping material to absorb the radiation and prevent the spread of the fire, while infantry units were activated and sent in to clear the buildings of any remaining personnel. It was during these containment efforts that the military encountered the same black creature that had haunted the workers of the CNPP in the previous weeks. Reports of a flying and shrieking creature began to pour in from workers on the ground, who relayed to their commanders stories of a horrifying creature that would dive and swoop at the workers. The creature was reported to have hidden in the fires and the smoke, only to make a guttural shriek before flying into the air and beginning its passes at the rescue teams. Pilots and air crews also reported seeing the creature from the sky, who noted that the bird-like entity would circle their aircraft and perform aerial maneuvers that seemed to be impossible. As the rescue and containment efforts continued, reports trickled in until finally the disaster was contained, and a concrete structure called the sarcophagus was placed over reactor number 4. The sightings then immediately stopped. What is more eerie still is that the casualty reports soon began to show that every person who had reported seeing the black bird had also died of radiation poisoning or an accident related to the disaster at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. The black bird of Chernobyl at first glance should seem familiar to those who have studied American cryptozoology and its associated phenomenon. The stories of a dark, humanoid, and winged creature with red eyes seem to match the American Mothman phenomena, which was also a foreshadowing of a disastrous event, namely the collapse of Silver Bridge in Point Pleasant, West Virginia in 1967. The story is very similar to the black bird of Chernobyl, where numerous sightings of a mysterious flying creature were reported in the weeks leading up to the collapse of a bridge, which claimed the lives of 46 people. The collapse of the bridge was attributed to, like Chernobyl, a faulty design that simply could not handle the stresses that were put upon it. The uncanny similarity of the stories has caused many to link the black bird of Chernobyl and the Mothman to be the same creature, although many will debate the nature of the phenomena itself. Some have theorized that the creature directly caused the disasters to occur, claiming that it is some sort of nefarious demon attempting to end the lives of innocent people. Others have speculated that it had no direct hand in the disasters at all, but rather it simply acted as an omen of an imminent catastrophe, or even it was attempting to warn the workers and residents that their respective disasters were coming. While the dark, winged creature does have the makings of the classic fallen angel, looking to sow destruction and death wherever it goes, It seems that the creature acts more like the black dogs of English folklore. Similar to the blackbird of Chernobyl, the black dog, or the hellhound, as it is sometimes called, is associated with an omen of death. Sightings of the black dogs have been seen throughout the old world, haunting battlefields or places of great disaster and destruction. They are normally shadowy and black, with red glowing eyes, which will howl and chase unsuspecting victims. While the black dogs usually do not actively attack their victims, those who see the black dog are reported to soon die, tragically, by accident or sickness soon thereafter. After the death of the victims, the black dog will typically never be seen in the area again. Given the similarities of the two types of creatures, it could be possible that the blackbird of Chernobyl and the Mothman are related in some way to the black dog, if not directly, at least in their methods and goals. Little lore exists on how to combat these creatures if you encounter them. One piece of information that we do have comes from an interaction between a police officer and a black dog sighting in Abington, Massachusetts in 1970. After attempting to find the black dog that had been harassing the town, a police officer patrolling saw the creature and shot at it, at which point the dog ran into the woods and was never seen again. No tracks or sign were left by the dog, and the police were baffled. Similar reports were also given by a hunter in West Virginia who encountered a shadowy winged creature purported to be the Mothman. While the hunter was in his tree stand in the early hours of opening day, he spotted the creature after hearing the rustling of leaves and watching the creature land in a nearby tree. He fired multiple rounds with his rifle, but he was amazed to see that the creature simply flew away as if nothing had happened. Given these reports, we can surmise that conventional weaponry would have little effect on these creatures. If you do encounter one of these monsters, leave the area and pray that the disaster they foreshadow can be averted. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to like and subscribe. I know it feels cliche, but it really does help the channel out. If you'd like to support me financially, feel free to check out my Patreon account or my merch store. What cryptid would you like to see me do next? Let me know in the comments below. And until next time, I'll see you in the zone.